Welcome to the Revenue Discussion podcast. In this podcast, we'll talk about anything related to revenue trends, challenges, and problems. Every week, we'll invite an inspirational revenue leader to talk about insights, strategies, and tactics that have worked and are still working for them. My name is Dylan, and I'm joined by my co-founder Martin in this very first episode, episode 0.
Yes, it is episode 0. You can see it's just the two of us, Dylan and I. In this episode, we want to talk more about Usights, what we are, where we stand for, and how this all came about. Dylan, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, so of course, as we said, my name is Dylan, 25 years old at this moment. I have been studying, I've studied business engineering when I was at the university in Leuven. And then actually just right after college, I had something like, some kind of drive to start up a company. Back then, I actually didn't know what it was going to be. It's not like I had a certain problem or I had a certain need that had to be solved and I couldn't find any solution. But I had that drive. I know I have a pretty strong work ethic. I was kind of pretty confident. I will be honest. That was kind of one of my strengths, that I could be able to start something up. So I actually did so. Started really with no idea at all, but I brainstormed a lot. Thought about what are my interests. Of course, anything that's related to revenue generating activities, whether it's sales or marketing. I just loved it. So I went more into that. And so a year ago, approximately, I co-founded with you, of course, the Usights company, which we will tell more about in a few seconds.
Yes,
But
indeed.
I give the mic back to you.
Yeah, I will introduce myself as well. So my name is Maarten. I'm the co-founder and more the COO of the two of us. As Dylan, I also studied economics. I studied economical science. And actually, it was a kind of coincidence that we came together because I was normally supposed to still go on an exchange, further study a bit more, but the pandemic brought us together. My exchange was cancelled, and Dylan came to me and pitched Usights to me. And to me, it actually was pretty easy to say yes. I always wanted to have a company, but I always assumed it would be later in my career. But the whole COVID situation made me think about it, and I said, yeah, why not? We're just gonna do it. In general, I'm very interested in everything surrounding organization, processes, how we can do the things most efficiently. I love bringing people together and organizing events. And I've always had a fascination about how salespeople can build relationship with people and still follow some kind of process that fits within their company. And that's why the idea of Usights really interested me. But maybe before we go further into what we're doing now with Usights, I maybe have to explain a bit of the pivot. A lot of people already know us, like Usights, as an e-learning platform for marketing and sales. But this is actually changing quite a bit. I think this pivot and change all started by the end of last year. I think Dylan and I were having a discussion and we didn't feel the need and the appetite from the market for our solution that we brought. And then we're thinking, how does it
why is that, do you think?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, Dylan. And I think we discussed it a lot the week we had this thought. And I think we had some assumptions, but to validate this assumption, we went to talk to a lot of salespeople, either mainly within our group, our bubble of people we knew and that we trusted. Yeah, indeed. And we had some clear, conclusions from these talks. First of all, the courses we had were good. The value that was in there was very good. But everybody said that they needed some more accountability. The thing we saw as a positive that you can do the course whenever you want, where you want.
That really added value of that flexibility, and
Yes.
you do it wherever you want, whenever you want. Yeah.
They didn't really see it, and they said more like we need accountability. We need to start with a group. We need certain dates to do it, and yeah,
they need a kind of a program with a start and an end, and they are taken into that program from beginning to end.
Indeed. I think that's the first takeaway. I think the second one is that, as we already know, sales is a human connection. It's a human interaction.
People business. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we told them they had to study on their computer, it was almost like, We don't want to be on a computer. We want to talk with people. We want to meet people. We want to learn from each other. And that made us realize: is there something that brings people together, that makes them learn from each other, that they can get inspired, they can learn, they can do all of that? And we didn't find it in Belgium. In other countries, I think in the US, it's pretty common to do so. In the UK as well. And that's what we heard from sales professionals that worked in the US and came back to Belgium, that they had that there, but they were missing it here. So that's why
So
we pivoted
you're
to a
talking
community.
about the pivot, actually, the community.
I'm now talking about the real pivot. After all those learnings, we changed the community, and I think Dylan, you will tell them a bit more what our community will be exactly, because community can be very broad.
Yeah, no, definitely. So actually, yeah, Usights now actually aims to create an ecosystem of forward-thinking revenue innovators. That's how we like to call it now. So, the future of revenue, I'm not going to say sales or marketing, but really the future of revenue and actually career success are really at the center of that ecosystem, of that community. And it doesn't matter whether you are an SDR, a BDM, an account executive, a sales leader, VP of sales, chief revenue officer, what's in the name anyways. But all those people, and I should actually even add, marketing, people from customer success, maybe even people from communication. Eventually, I mean, right now we're still kind of focusing more on salespeople, but eventually, the whole revenue department is actually more than welcome to participate inside that community. And why that? Right now we are really focusing only on sales, because sales is a wonderful profession, and anyone that is in sales, kind of feels that there is or are some misconceptions regarding sales. There's the always be closing cliche, like you have to force and to have to be pushy to actually close a sales. You have the one note stereotypes, the stuffy conversation around the sales profession,
The Wolf of
uh,
Wall Street of the world.
the wall of Wall Street of the world, exactly. And that's definitely not what sales is about. And anyone that is in sales knows that. But yeah, to the external world, they think that sales is about that, and we really want to change that, or at least create a community of people that are over that, or over those cliches elements. And so that's why we created a network, of diverse, curious, and insightful people, as the best salespeople we actually know.
And what kind of things will be done in the community? Is it just a community that brings everybody together, or will there be more things done?
Good question. So yeah, there is, of course, the online community where people can just connect and interact with each other. You ask questions, whether it's about something regarding sales, regarding career tips. So that's one thing, and an important thing, I think. Then, of course, you have all the events. So, of course, we want to bring the people also in person together, that it's not something just virtual. We have done enough stuff virtually in the past 2 years thanks to COVID. So now we want to bring them together again. So think of purely networking events. It can be training sessions, coaching sessions, a conference. We can do some kind of role plays where we come together and we train each other. So anything that is actually related to sales or career success, and we can do some type of event around that as well. We might do it. And of course, I mean, we are still also kind of a content platform. That's how I like to call it, because of course we came from the e-learning industry, so we have that whole platform, and we also love to produce new content. And we also worked with a lot of thought leaders, sales experts that provide the most exceptional content you can imagine. So of course that is also still some aspect of it. So think of the podcast, think of our blog, our master classes. So anything that can provide actually new insight, new tactics, and new strategies to better your approach in sales.
I think our listeners will now feel like it's a lot of things at the same time. But maybe I will explain a bit more how we will start all of this, because yeah, we have to start somewhere. So after a lot of debating, a lot of brainstorming, Dylan and I decided to organize a big sales conference, the biggest of Belgium, the We Are Sales Summit. This will take place the 25th of May, and nobody has an excuse to not come, because the next day it's a free day, so everybody should come.
And that
On
means that
this,
they need to stay at the after party as well, right?
I'm gonna say it later. Now you're spoiling already. Okay, thanks.
Shoot.
Yeah, nice. So the goal of this event is to educate, inspire, and connect salespeople. and a lot of sales leaders as well. We have to say. The theme in the whole day will be the future of sales. We want to make the sales in Belgium future proof for what is coming. So we talk about the current situation and what skills they need to learn, how they can be inspired, etc. And how will we do that? We will organize keynotes, panel discussions. There will be workshops. There will be like a fair of sales solutions that will be needed to be a good sales leader in the future. And like Dylan said, we will end with an after work party. And yeah, of course, during the day there will be a lot of networking events, networking activities. We will do everything in our capabilities to connect all the salespeople together, because I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. I mean, as you said earlier, people that knows us think that we are an e-learning company. So with that event, we really want to create some kind of statement that, you know, we are not here to produce a conference. We are here to produce experiences within a community of like-minded people that support each other, that help each other, that will, you know, challenge each other, ask questions, be interested in each other, so that, you know, you kind of find a new home, which is then, you know, something part of Usights, because Usights should be that new home of like-minded salespeople that, you know, like each other, challenge each other, and etc.
Well said, well said. I think something we really still want to add to that is that the educate part won't be lost. And that's still something we also want to do with the speakers and people that will be providing the content. I think that's a very important thing to say. And to give you an idea, I've identified 4 pillars of people that will be speaking or will be providing content in the sales conference. It will be either like thought leaders within Belgium for sales. It will be leaders from big companies active in Belgium. It will be Belgian sales leaders active abroad, so you have a different perspective on sales. And fourth will be like the founders and the sales leaders of the biggest scale-ups from Belgium. I think with those 4 categories, we really cover all types of sales knowledge that you might need.
Super interesting. Yeah, and I mean, people might not be thinking like, oh, all right, so it's, you know, it's good for enterprise, it's good for startups, scale ups. You don't really niche down to that. And, you know, our typical answer to that is that what links the people to each other inside our community is that they're really looking to become high performing sales professionals, or actually revenue leaders, I should say. And so it's really more about the will to learn and grow as an individual that is linking them. Doesn't matter whether you come from a startup or a big enterprise, or whether you come, you know, from a particular industry or selling to a particular vertical. It doesn't matter, because you all have, I mean, we all have, you know, that specific insights of working in your own context. And it's super interesting, and it created super interesting dynamic, I think, to have people share their own experience and, you know, bring actually feedback, external feedback from an outside context as yours. But that is, you know, still living by the same rule as I want to grow personally, and I will challenge you as I like to be challenged myself. And with that external feedback, I think that can create super interesting dynamics.
Yeah, I think you say something very important. In our community, people have to be like-minded. It's like the openness to put yourself in a vulnerable position and listen to other people about their feedback. I think that's a very important thing. One thing I have to add, maybe that's maybe a bit of a deeper insight on the community. You might hear like, oh, there's a lot of levels as well in the community. Like the SDRs are there, the sales managers, and the VP of sales. Once you're in the community, there will be also groups of your level, I would say, so you can really learn from people from your own level. I think that's something a lot of sales leaders, especially, are searching for, and that will be there. So don't worry. But it's just to say that everybody's welcome that has the ambition to grow.
All right. All right. So to kind of sum up, we have started as an e-learning company, has now been pivoted towards that new community story. And of course, to start up with that community, we'll organize the summit just to make a big statement, to have amazing people brought together and just let them being part of the community, which will be the 25th of May. Of course, people can also become a member of the community already. And where do they have to go for that?
So they can already become a free member for the free community. And I think in the description here will be a link, or in the comments of the LinkedIn post, where you can just put your email address, make an account, and then you're part of the community. And there we will post some sessions with experts. We will have some groups where you can already discuss. And the more we go forward, the more that will be added into the community. So we're happy to welcome you all.
All right, sounds awesome, Martin. All right, well, I think we will end up this episode 0, with these words. Maybe something about the next episode, Martin.
Yeah, so in the next episode, we will welcome Peter Snelwaerts. A lot of you might already know him. He has his own podcast. But on this podcast, we don't only go to what's on your mind, we go more into the sales person that Peter is and what he thinks is important into sales. So I think it was a good conversation. It was still our first one, so we're
It
still
was our
improving.
first one, so
It was
yeah,
still improving, but it was already
still
interesting.
still
I think
Peter has experience and is awesome sales leader, so he comes with inspirational and really stuff material that makes you think.